Hello. Just came in from outside. It's freezing out. Nose is a little red. Okay. Let's see. Whoops. Get all set up here. Hello. Just waiting for people to turn up. I just came in from outside. It is freezing. Alrighty. I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Usually takes about 30 seconds before I get going because I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. What time is it? Ooh, it's late. I'm not usually on at this time, so we'll see who turns up. I have a lot of people who turn up from the East Coast on the United States. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, so they might be asleep. That's okay. Or they might be laying in bed just relaxing after getting the kids off to bed. So let's see how many people turn up tonight. Something funny. The pun and I also have the school clothes and home clothes. Okay. Ava, something funny. I was listening to your podcast and I also have school clothes and home clothes. And I open the window daily, even freezing out. I don't open the window all the time. But I do open it up a little bit, but I hate to let the heat out. But yeah, I'm not the only nutcase out there. There should be home clothes and school clothes. Everywhere else, clothes and home clothes. As soon as we came home, we had to get into our home clothes. Heaven forbid we should cross-contaminate. Yeah, so I'm not the only crazy out there. Thanks for supporting me. Okay, let's get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. I'm also a mother and a grandmother. That's proof. That's my grandma cat. Anyway, welcome to the live. I don't do them every day like I used to. I just don't have time. So, but yeah, I miss doing them. So I'm going to try and get a bit more. I'm going to try and do more lives. Get back into the swing of it. So, sorry, I didn't mean at my age, I shouldn't be trying to be cool. So anyway, if you check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I work together and we do the podcast together. So we have lots of fun doing that. So let's get going with the, I messed up as a grandmother today. My granddaughter was putting the donuts on that holder thing and I looked away and I forgot to applaud one of the placements and yeah, she wasn't too happy about that, but I looked away. She was like, Grandma, hello, I'm about to put a donut on here. Are you not looking? So cute. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. I do scroll ahead to make sure you're still here. And last time I did a live, I kept forgetting to look at YouTube, so I'm going to look down there now. This is AR Jones 523. My almost 3-year-old gets very violent, hitting, pinching, smacking whenever he's told no or gets a consequence. How do we handle this? He's almost 3. I don't know how close he is to 3. Yeah, maybe check out the behavior board anyway, because it has a section on toddlers on it. The behavior board starts at the age of 3. So check that out. So yeah, once they start getting physical, I just say no and physically restrain them. I don't let them continue hitting, but I don't look at them or talk to them. Once I've said no, that's it. I'm just physically restraining them. They'll eventually learn. 2 months till he's 3. He's not quite old enough for the behavior board. It really does. You have to wait till 3, really. Okay. We need help with an almost 3-year-old little boy. I don't know what kind of help you need. Okay. Well, if you want coaching, you can look into that or my courses. It's all at BratBusters.com. Yeah, I'm not usually on this late. I'm not good at night. If anyone knows me, knows that. I'm kind of not good at night. I'm a morning person. So I'm going to do my best to answer questions here tonight. I'm actually drinking Diet Pepsi, trying to wake up a bit. I'm a morning person. Okay. Okay, this is, I deal with this quite often, and you're not going to like my answer. What should I do? My 2.5-year-old is about to get kicked out of daycare for hitting, etc. The teacher won't listen. They don't have a choice. Like what I mean by that is if they've got a violent kid, someone who's hitting other kids or hitting teachers, they often have to just kick them out because the other kids might get hurt. And how would you feel if you were the parent of the victim, right? So, I mean, their hands are kind of tied. But that's a tricky one. If you're not there, he's 2.5. What's he like at home? You can only really deal with at home, and then it kind of transfers over into everywhere else. If he doesn't get his own way at home, does he do that? Or do you let him get away with everything and that's why he does it? I don't know. So yeah, you might want to check out my courses. And also sometimes they'll give you a little bit of a pass if they know you've just got a course or you're working with someone, or like, because I know lots of my clients in coaching, they'll often get a pass, or even at school, they're going to be kicking the kid out of school. Like literally he'll be like 7, 8 years old. And they say, look, I hired a parent. I'm not saying to hire me for this, but you can just, say, look, I'm just looking into it. I'm doing my best here. But yeah, they'll actually get a little bit of they'll keep them. They'll stop kicking them out a little bit sooner if they know they're working with someone. So yeah, but it all starts at home. There's nothing you can do at school if you're not there. They're in the moment. When they're that age, they're in the moment, right here, right now. You can't do anything about school. I love your parenting advice, and my boyfriend are planning on adopting children in the future. This is really helpful. Excellent. I'm adopted. I was adopted, but it doesn't really count because I was a newborn, so I never knew anything else. But yeah, I love being adopted. I always felt that my mother always said you were chosen. Other kids were had, but you were chosen. So I grew up thinking that being adopted made me a real prize. I thought that I was more loved than other kids. So yeah, she kind of oversold it. So, okay. Any advice for same-sex couple expecting soon? No different from any other advice. When I first started my business about 18 years ago, when I was working with same-sex parents, every so often the issue would come up that the kid was being teased about having same-sex parents. Now when I work with same-sex parents, that doesn't come up even. Usually, interesting though, they often live somewhere that is more progressive, and they've often chosen to live somewhere that's more progressive because of that. That's one thing that has been mentioned. But yeah, I don't have any different advice. I don't see any difference. Kids seem to be just fine with it. So no advice. I do have advice for other people who tease kids about that. Like, shut up. What's the point? I never understand that kind of stuff. But yeah, you got to raise kids to be tough because they're going to be teased about anything and everything. Doesn't matter. They can have absolutely nothing that you would think they could be teased about, but they might have eyes that are maybe too blue and they'll be teased about that. I mean, kids are going to be kids, right? That's a bad thing to say. Kids are going to be kids if they don't have parents who are leaders. If you're a leader, you don't tend to raise mean kids. It's just the way it is. I was going to say something on here. I can't remember what it was. I thought, when I get on a live, I'm going to say this. I can't remember what it was. Shoot. Saw my granddaughter today. She's just 1. It's a very unusual relationship because you don't see them every day. They're not yours, but you love them exactly the same as your own kids. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. How do I handle 2.5-year-old started to scream when she's told no and she just doesn't? No, just ignore it. Yeah. Screaming is their way to get attention and to upset you, to let you know they're not happy. So let them scream. Maybe just calmly walk out of the room. Don't say no. Don't say, they're at 2.5, they're not going to change that. They're not going to listen to you. They're just going to scream even more. Like when I was working with kids, if they were screaming, because if something didn't go their way, and if they were screaming, I'd just go, "Oh, there you go," and I'd get up and walk away. We're like, whoops. They eventually learn. Can't always do that, but that was one thing that did work. My almost 4-year-old, this is Diana on YouTube. My almost 4-year-old interrupts my husband and I all the time. We have to stop talking and address her or she'll start to cry and yell. Okay, just get the behavior board. It's completely free. It's at BratBusters.com and put down no interrupting. So when we're talking, don't interrupt. Okay, and if she does, there's a consequence. So she'll eventually learn. She doesn't, and then you say no and you stop talking and address her. She just won. Yeah, where's the consequence? Being talked to is not a consequence for a child. That's the mini therapy session. Absolute garbage. That does nothing. Could you imagine if the cops, if you were speeding and all they were going to do was have a little mini therapy session with you? Now, you know you shouldn't speed. Okay, you know that's not very good. And then you'd just keep speeding, wouldn't you? Like, what's the point? There's no consequences is what keep us doing the right thing. Until you already have it in you. Once it's ingrained, you don't have to do that. My 5-year-old never wants us, her parents, to go out without her. She is so attached. We need a date night. Well, just go out without her. What do you mean she never wants you to? Just do it anyway. So she's in charge. Wow. I don't want you to go out. We'll see you later. Don't drag out the goodbye. Don't look like you're upset. Don't look like you're being pulled in by that manipulation. She's 5 years old. She can learn the fact that you guys get to go out every so often. That's okay. Do it anyway. Okay. This is Steph on YouTube. 15-month-old girl, runner and climber in public spaces. After saying no or using carrier. After saying no or using carrier, she cries and screams. She's only 15 months old. That's still kind of a baby. I would redirect if possible. But I would, if you're out somewhere like in a mall or something, there's no way my kids would have feet. Like they would be in a stroller or something. There's no way I would give them feet to run with or anything because she's still a baby. So yeah, if you're at the mall or somewhere like that where she can't run, you don't want her to, then yeah, I'd have her in a stroller. Absolutely. Yeah, my kids were not mobile when they were babies in a public space like that. Thank you so much for your counseling. Yeah, I'm not a counselor. I'm a coach. I have no qualifications. I like to make that very clear. I'm just kid taught. No, on the behavior board, can you have more than one thing at a time? No, working on. No, absolutely not. You'll crash and burn. It's 1 rule per week. By week 2, you'll have 2 rules, 2 different behavior boards. By week 3, you'll have 3. Then you don't use any more behavior boards. You go on to different things. That would be the course. But yeah, only 1. You're going to crash and burn if you do different things. Only apply those consequences to the rule on the behavior board. If you try and mix it all up with everything else, it's going to be a mess. You're just focused on that behavior board. Okay. Okay, I love your Oh, interesting. D Silva. Hi, D. It's regular. I love your rumblings of parenting philosophy. Please continue on the podcast. Okay, I'm glad you said that. We need feedback on the podcast because sometimes I will ramble on about the philosophy behind all this, all the psychology behind why I do what I do. And I think, geez, did you really want to hear that? I do it more in coaching but it's very specific to their needs, right? So if I think they need to hear something, I do ramble on in coaching more. But then I think, am I boring people on the podcast? And Dee, I appreciate the fact that you love it. Some people might hate it. I never know. We're trying to appeal to a wide range of people, but we try and mix it up. But thanks so much for your feedback. We need your feedback because everything that we do in the business, my daughter and I work together in the business. Everything that we do is what you want. Now, let me rephrase that. You may not want it, but what you need to hear. So in other words, even if you don't want to hear what I'm saying, if it helps you, you're going to keep listening, right? So I always say I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear all the time. But but it's up to you to guide us along how we move forward. That's your job to tell us what you want. Thank you. I really enjoy your podcast and your YouTube shorts. Thanks so much. I think my daughter does all that. I think she takes all the videos from now on from the podcast because we also film it and it's on YouTube. So I'm not sure I don't know how she does that. We have no crossover in our jobs. She does all the marketing and planning and I do all the other stuff. So, but yeah, I don't really know what she does. I don't understand it. Are there any differences in your methods for kids with ADHD? ADHD those are all the kids I learned this with. So no, there's no difference. None at all. Autism, ASD, that's different. That's kids on the spectrum. Yeah, they can be different. Not always. Sometimes these methods work with them too. Depends where they are in the spectrum and their specific challenges. So that's different. But ADHD it's the same. By the way, you have to put ages down. I'm a grandmother and learning all over. Thank you. I'm trying to do my best with your advice. So, Lorraine, oh, gee, you look familiar, that name. Are you also parenting grandkids now? Like, do you have custody or something? I don't know. I'm a grandmother. Well, obviously, my grandma cat. Yeah. So, I was just thinking, I always get this withdrawal every time I drive away from my granddaughter because I don't see her a lot. I only see her like every couple of weeks. It's like a 45-minute drive. I work 7 days a week. So yeah, when I see her and then I drive away, I'm always a little bit emotional. I wish I lived closer. But they're not moving closer to me and I'm not moving closer to them. So it's the way it is. It's only a 45-minute drive. But yeah, I love being a grandma. Yeah, ADHD, it's the same advice. What's the name of the podcast? It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. It is doing really well. It changes all the time, but yeah, it hit number 3 in parenting. We've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 months. So it hit number 3 of parenting and when you typed in parenting at one point, it goes up and down, but holy moly, we've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 months. So we're just stunned at how well it's doing. We're doing it twice a week now, and my daughter and I do it together. What age should you stop using a stroller? About 16 years old, I think. Yeah, I kept my kids in that shopping cart carrier and in the stroller for as long as possible. And yeah. You know what was so great about it? You know what I missed about it? Was where am I going to put my bags in my purse once they're out of it? You know, it was so handy. Yeah. I kept that thing going for a long time. I live in a building downtown, and I had a neighbor who had a baby, and she never used a carrier, a stroller, or anything. She would literally go grocery shopping and everything, just carrying her baby, just on her hip. It was just attached to her. She didn't even have it in a sling or anything. She carried her baby everywhere. You don't see that very often. I thought she just managed. Well, I live downtown, so when you go grocery shopping downtown, you just pop out. It's like 2 blocks away. You pop out for a few things every day, right? So she didn't have to do a big grocery shop. But yeah, it was quite interesting. She just carried these kids around on her hip. What ages are the behavior boards for? 3+. So, lots of my clients are using it at work too. And so yeah, it's just an accountability chart for everybody. You're on there too. Parents are on. If you're not on there, it doesn't work. I started my business about 18 years ago, and I didn't have a behavior board because I've never used one. I would never use one. It's just it's a teaching tool. After a year, I thought, I'm just not getting my point across that parents need to be accountable. Also, if you make a mistake, you have to be punished, just like kids, right? They're watching you. That's what a leader does. A leader is accountable. Then I invented the behavior board and put the parents on it. It changed my whole business. I haven't changed that behavior board in 17 years. I've actually got 3 parts on it. The last part is the family motto, which is usually we respect ourselves and others. It's what I call the gentle pointing reminder. If you think things are starting to go awry, just say, remember the motto. But I don't even talk about it anymore. The only reason I keep it on there is I first started that behavior board 17 years ago, and I called it the 3-step parenting plan. So it had 3 steps. But yeah, the family motto, we don't even discuss it anymore. But I left it on there. Don't see any point in taking it off. Okay, it's from Patty. I got new things going on with my 4-year-old. When upset, she would take her clothes off, then pee on the floor every time. What do I do? It's not the first time I've heard that, by the way. I had a client a while ago, and they said that whenever their kid would get mad, he'd just take his clothes off, like out in public and everywhere. He was little, like 2 or 3 or 4 maybe. But yeah, they just do crazy stuff. So just say, no taking your clothes off and peeing on the floor. Put it on the behavior board and have a consequence if she does. So yeah, she's really telling you off. She's basically giving you the finger. Okay, would the behavior board work at daycare or schools? No, it's just different. I don't know anything about that. So I never answer questions about school or daycare. Those are businesses. I teach parenting. So yeah, I can't comment on that. I've never run a daycare and I've never been a teacher. So I can't comment on that. But you can decide. Lots of my clients, a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, and they often struggle with parenting. They're different. Business, personal. They're different. So yeah, you can be the judge of that. Oh, that's so sweet, Christina. I'm a first-time mom, and every video of yours I learned from. Excellent. That I'm just doing my best here, trying to puke out as much information as possible, and hoping some of it helps. Puke out. Where did I come up with that? I can't remember the last time I've said that word. Why would I come up with that? Isn't that crazy? Oh well. Okay. What about level 1 autism with severe ADHD in a 7-year-old? I always say autism is coaching. It's more of a special needs thing. So that would be one-on-one coaching with me. I do specialize in crisis, and I've also worked with a lot of special needs situations. So those are just different. They're nothing I could talk about other than coaching. So, and also, if you're sending, my daughter looks at messages. We don't get around to the comments all the time. We've got a lot of followers now, so we just don't have time. And I can't hire someone to answer all that, because how could they answer that? So anyway, but she was saying that sometimes people will send her an email and it'll be crisis in the subject line, which gets our attention because I do specialize in teenage crisis work, especially. And so she'll look at it and they'll say, my toddler's having tantrums. That is not a crisis. That is normal. So yeah, that is not what I consider crisis. I won't go into what is, but I mean real life and death crisis stuff. But yeah, that is not a crisis, a toddler having a tantrum. Oops. Oh, I got to go. I got to move over to Instagram if you want to join me over there, BratBusters Parenting. Do your lives often. I used to do them every single day, and that was for about 1.5 years there. I don't have time anymore. So I'm usually doing 2 to 3 a week lives whenever I get a chance. Anyway, check out BratBusters on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time while I'm doing these. And you can also check out BratBusters.com. That's my website. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I do that together, and we put out 2 podcasts every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Happy parenting. I'm hopping over to Instagram. Not usually on. God, 7:30. I am so not a night person. I'm such a morning person. I'm quite nauseating in the morning. I pop out of bed every morning. Morning. I'm like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I am a morning person for sure, which means I'm really boring at night. Okay. Okay, well, I got 150 people in here. Instagram, everyone turns up together really fast every time. I don't know why that is. It's the only place it happens. Anyway, welcome to the live. If you're new, welcome back. Welcome back. Anyway, hi from Perth. Hi, Perth. Never made it over to Perth. I lived on the East Coast for about 20 years in Australia. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parent. I'm a grandparent. I don't usually say that. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. I'm also a parenting coach. You can check out from Brisbane. Yeah, that's where I raised my kids, in Brisbane, in Arana Hills, which is near Ferny Grove, which is the end of the train line there. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So check out my website, BratBusters.com, my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I do that together because we work together. She's also my daughter. So we do that twice a week. We put one out every Tuesday and Thursday. I don't know if it's come out yet, but I look like such an idiot in one of them. I said something really stupid. I should ask her if she put that out. Just like I'm going to ask her. I'm going to put stupid podcast. She tends to edit stuff out, whereas I like the messy stuff left in. I told her even on the podcast, I said, don't edit this out. Yeah, I said something I look like an idiot. And I hope she left that in. I don't know if it's out yet. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've heard it. Okay, so what was I going to say? Does cry it out method create trauma to kids below 2-year-old? I don't know when you're using it, so I can't answer that. Yeah, I don't talk like that, so I can't respond to other people's words like that. Someone else would use that term. I don't use the term cry it out, so I can't comment on it. Hi from Dubai. I have had a few clients in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I've gotten all your course and find them really helpful. Excellent. They're good for, especially the 3 to 12-year-old one. That's really good for reference material too throughout the years. So yeah, go through it, but then also hang on to it for reference and look at it every so often. Podcast. Yeah, that's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. I don't know where it is now because podcasts, it changes all the time. But my daughter said one day last week, it was the number 3 podcast on parenting in North America. Like, wow. We've only been doing it for like a few months. So I'm just blown away by that. They rate it by engagement, I think, not so much numbers. Like I'm just new at it, so I don't get huge numbers yet. But they rate it by engagement, which means people listen to the whole thing. And I don't know quite what that means. I don't know anything about podcasts. Yeah, you could put on the head of a pin what I know about podcasts. I just started listening to them myself, not my own, but other people's. Why is my 4-year-old not pooping in the potty? It's usually boys that hold back, and not always, but usually. And there's 3 reasons usually why they won't. One could be manipulation. They're withholding because it drives you nuts. That could be it, but that's not usually what it is. There's usually 3 reasons why they will not poop on the potty. One is plop phobia. They maybe been splashed if they did poop once. The other one is hang phobia. When they're pooping and it's hanging in midair and pulling on them, they don't like that feeling. And the third one is cold. While they're pooping, it's cold, right? So they get a chill. Those are the 3 reasons. So I recommend that you get a little porta potty, put some toilet paper in the bottom, and when they can sit down, they can feel it on their bum. It's more cozy. If they're cold, you can hike the heat up in the bathroom or wrap a duvet around them or something while they're pooping, like a poop tent. It's not pretty when you open that thing up afterwards, by the way. But anyway, give it a go. And you never, ever discipline or punish anything to do with bodily functions. It's just, come on, let's figure this out. This is what we're going to do. So, try it like that. It's always encouraging. Okay, what to do when a friend's kid is bullying my kids? School reported. So you've reported it at the school. Let the school handle it. It's tricky. It is really tricky. Yeah, I don't know how to comment on that because I don't know all the information around it. So, but it is difficult, very difficult. If it's a friend, really difficult. Boy, they get defensive if you call their kid a bully. Don't ever do it. So, it's name calling. Yeah. None of your 3 kids are listening to you. They act out in public, blah, blah, blah. Check out the boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It might be a good fit for you. It's designed to teach you how to give respect to get it. It's leadership. I don't teach how to get kids to listen to you. I teach how to set yourself up as a leader and they will respect you. Hence, the listening takes care of itself. But yeah, remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. We're not fixing kids. They're just a reflection of your parenting. So you work on yourself. I set you up as a leader. That's my whole goal. My main goal in my business is happy parents, happy kids. That's my main goal. But yeah, discipline comes up all the time in these sessions and these lives. But in coaching, I don't talk about discipline as much. I talk more about connecting and bonding with kids. Am I supposed to ignore my 2-year-old every time she starts getting upset after being told no? It depends if you're playing with. There's a lot of balance involved too, and I just hinted at that. Like you got to connect with them. Do you play with her a lot? And then when she says, "Oh, I want to keep playing" or something, you say, "No, I can't," and then she starts screaming. Yeah, then I would ignore her. But if you're ignoring her all day long, that's not good either. So you got to balance it out. So if you know you're meeting her needs, and it's just her wants that she's screaming over it, then I ignore it because her needs are playing with you too, fun. So if you know that you're meeting her needs, then yeah, I would just ignore it. Otherwise, are you connecting with her? Are you playing with her? Oops, I'm just scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. And also, I'm always looking for questions that aren't necessarily about discipline or about older kids, because I get mostly toddler questions. And I specialize in teenagers. But in these lives, it's mostly toddler discipline questions. So, but I just try and mix it up every so often. Even just if no one's asked me anything, I'll try and mix it up. Like right now, I'm going to talk about my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. And you're all going to be there one day. So that's for everybody. This is for teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't just listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will tune you out. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You're building reciprocity, building mutual respect. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes, just like you do. Okay, it's okay. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So parents will say to me, well, when do we discuss the bad times? And I say, well, never. What's the point? What's the point? No one's ever come up with a good answer. Number 5, with teenagers, and this is with any adult or really anybody, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. Think about it. When you're arguing with your teenager and you know they're being ridiculous, so do they. They know they're being ridiculous, but they're going to dig their heels in and keep arguing. So you can either be a right fighter or you can be happy. You can say something like this. I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it later. Don't say when you calm down. That's an accelerator. That's getting a little in. Don't do that. Don't roll your eyes either. So if they start arguing with you and it's ridiculous, just say, I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it later. So do you want to go have dinner now or, change the subject? But yeah, you can either be a right fighter or you can be happy. You can say that with any relationship, really. Oh, there we go. My 3.5-year-old isn't fazed by consequences. If the consequence is that I will take his favorite stuffy, he hits me, he will hit me and then go and put his stuffy up high. Yeah, you just haven't found the right one. So yeah, just taking something away. What I would do is I would say something like this. How old is he? 3.5, did you say? 3.5? Yeah, I would just say, I'll tell you what, consequences, do a chore. If they won't do the first one, then you resort to the taking something away. So there's 2 consequences for the kid on each behavior board. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, that's like do a chore or something. If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. That is taking something away. If that doesn't hurt him enough and it just causes more problems, I would say this. I would say, I'll tell you what, because you wouldn't do the chore after you broke the rule. So we were going to take you out for ice cream tonight as a special treat, but we're not going to do that anymore. Okay? There's his consequence. It's called inventing leverage. You don't start with that, but if nothing else is working, you go to that. It's called inventing leverage. You were never going to go out for ice cream. And then you don't say, if you're good tomorrow, we'll go out for ice cream. Then you're rewarding good behavior. Never reward good behavior. Never. If you want me to go on about that, I will. God, the reason I don't want to go on about it is I'll go off on a rant. Never reward good behavior. Never. It's ridiculous. If you want me to go on about it, I will, but be prepared. I'm going to go on if I do. Okay, let's see. Next question. Oh, you're asking about steps. I don't really discuss step parenting on here because if I tell you something and the biological parent doesn't like it, you see, I do work with a lot of step families, blended families, but I always want a biological parent there. Oh, I feel like I'm threatening my 2-year-old all the time. If you don't put your toy down, I will do it for you. That's fear-based parenting and it never works. Yeah, you'd have to come up with a specific question. Done all that was required to get the behavior board emailed and didn't receive it. You have to wait like 10, 15 minutes. And did you subscribe to Podia? Podia is where it's sort of a mini course, the behavior board, and that is where it's held in Podia. So you need to be a member of Podia. That's all free. So maybe once a week, someone will not or get mixed up with that, but just follow through all the steps. It does work. Oh, why not reward good behavior? Okay, just let me take a deep breath. Okay, let's start here. A good behavior chart. The goal. You'll get a star or a sticker if you're good today. That kind of thing. It works well in school. School is not personal. It's a business. So reward charts work very well at school. It's not personal. 30 kids are on it. It's a great incentive program at school. Parenting is very different from teaching, okay? At home, the message that you're sending with a reward chart says this. You're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, I'll give you a sticker. It's sending the wrong message. My baseline expectation is good kids. I just expect nice kids. That's my baseline. If you should happen to choose something bad, there'll be a consequence. A behavior board says you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to do something bad, I'm going to deal with it. Okay. So it's your baseline expectation. It's about their identity. So a behavior board, a reward chart, behavior board, reward chart says that it's saying that they're not good. Basically, you're normally rotten. Sending the wrong message. It would be like, let's say you're married and your husband says to you at the end of the day, "You've been really good today. I think I'm gonna take you out for coffee tonight." What would you say? "What the hell was I yesterday?" And you'd probably give him the silent treatment or whatever. But yeah, think about it. "You've been really good today. I think I'll buy you a flower. You've been so good." It's an insult, isn't it? A reward chart is an insult. It's funny because sometimes I'll be hired. Most people who hire me have watched me enough that they wouldn't come to me with a reward chart. But sometimes they do. And they'll say, "Well, nothing's working. I tried your behavior board, but I've also got this reward chart going." And I go, how do you cross that over? "Oh, now you get a gold star because today you cleaned the dishes, but then you threw a dish and broke it. And that was on the other behavior." It's just completely unmanageable. So yeah, no reward charts. But you should be bonding and playing with your kids. That is the reward. They have a happy life. If they're good kids, everything's positive. My kids didn't like boring mom. So I was normally very cheery and goofy, and they love that. And when I was working with kids, that's what they liked. And if they acted out, I got real boring real fast. So bang, like that. So yeah, they didn't like that. But yeah, think about it. Think about it. If your husband said to you, "You've been really good today. I'm so proud of you. Here, I got you a box of chocolates because you've been so good today." Think about it. It's exactly the same. Kids just can't articulate how it feels to have that happen. They'll look like they're excited about it, but as time goes on, then if they are good, this will happen too. If they are good and they don't get rewarded for it, "Well, I was good today. Where's my reward?" Then they'll act out. You see? It's a total disaster. Total disaster. Okay, when do kids understand that they should and should not do something? They could care less if they should or shouldn't do something. They understand from the time they're about 1 to 1.5, they start to pick up on this. They only care that if they do something, there's a consequence. Kids do not act out because they know that they shouldn't. They will hold back on bad behavior because they know that you're going to come in with a consequence. Toddlers especially, they don't act out because of a lack of understanding. They lack out from a lack of consequences. Like, why would a toddler continually touch a hot stove, but then maybe on the 10th time they'll learn? They learn slowly, but they learn through consequences. Yeah, they understand, but there's no reason not to do it unless there's a reason not to do it. See what I'm saying? Like, we all understand that we need to pay taxes, but would everybody always pay taxes if there was no consequence for not doing it? We all understand we need to pay taxes, right? We all understand that we shouldn't speed, but that's not what stops us from speeding. It's the fear of getting a ticket. You see what I'm saying? We all go by consequences. The sooner you teach this to your children, the better. Is timeout a good way to discipline a 3-year-old? You must be new here. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I talk about that all the time. I hate timeout. I think it's mean. You go sit in a corner and feel like crap for 3 minutes. And then I'm going to talk about everything you did wrong. I absolutely hate timeout. There's no lesson learned in it. It's just berating, bullying, and mean and shaming. I hate it. Thank God I held back. I'm going to read this. The 3 common discipline methods I hate. Timeout is the least one of the ones I hate. The one I hate even more is diversion. Because you never divert with broccoli. You always divert with something. Here's some sugar if you stop doing that, right? So diversion is horrible. It's rewarding bad behavior. Okay. The worst one is the countdown. If they're doing something naughty and you say, you better stop that by the time I count to 3, let's say they're kicking their little brother. They're going to keep kicking until you get to 3. And then you hit 3 and they go like that. They stop. Where's the consequence for the 50 kicks they got in before that? It's a fear-based parenting method. You're saying it's okay to be rotten for 3 counts. And then afterwards, you don't even do anything. Oh, well, he was really good. He stopped. What? He stopped. He got 50 kicks in and he stopped. Where's the consequence? Where's the lesson? 0, zilch. It's fear-based. Actually, all 3 of those are fear-based because you're trying to avoid the lesson. But yeah, timeout, diversion, and countdown. Can't stand any of them. They're useless. And another thing that comes up a lot is all these, I call them mini therapy sessions, discussing their bad behavior. Well, you know, you shouldn't do that because the reason that hurts mommy's feelings. I call them mini therapy sessions. That came along with the pleaser parent style about 30 years ago. I saw that one coming. You're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They do not need a therapy session. They learn to understand if they do something bad will happen to them. They need to learn that. You touch a hot oven, you get burnt. You kick someone, I'm going to take a toy away, right? They need to learn that. The sooner you teach them this, the better. Having a therapy session with them is for you. It's not for them at all. It's absolute garbage. It's crap. I remember when I saw that coming in, I thought, are you freaking kidding me? Who the heck came up with that one? Get down on their level. Use your words. All that patronizing garbage. It's absolute garbage. Drives me nuts. Because it took off like a rocket, because it makes the mom feel good. That's why. Does nothing, but it makes the mom feel good in the moment, but it backfires. You're gonna become a yeller because that stuff doesn't work. The pleaser parent style, they're the parents that are most likely to become yellers, big time yellers, because it doesn't work. How do you discipline? I give respect to get it. Check out my behavior board. That has a toddler section on it too. The behavior board, it's all free. Go to BratBusters.com. It's all free. Not everything, but the behavior board is. And then, or you can look in the courses or coaching and listen to our podcast. Sorry, whoops, just got a message. But yeah, I give respect to get it. Look at the pool story. The pool story is called Example of Leadership Parenting. If you go on YouTube, type in BratBusters pool story, it'll pop up. It's the pool story. I've got it in all my courses. I've got it everywhere. It is, it's called the pool story. How to listen to your podcast, BratBusters Parenting. It hit number 3 last week in parenting. Wow. And it's new. It's only been out for like 3 or 4 months. We are absolutely shocked. We keep saying, can you believe this? My daughter and I do it together. She works with me. She does all the marketing, all the planning, and I do all the other stuff. So it was funny because I always say to her, I said, I could never run this company without you. Like she's so important. She only came on board full-time last August. She was helping me out just part-time she had a full-time job. And, but yeah. So, and it's funny because I was saying, I just couldn't even run this. I could run the business without her, like I've done for 17 years or without her. But boy, it really took off when she came on board because she was doing, I couldn't do all that. And then she goes, well, Mom, I need you too. So it's mutual. It's funny. Yeah, I kind of need you too. Okay. My 8-year-old, I know exactly what he's doing. My 8-year-old corrects the adults in our family in a very condescending way. It's pretty offensive at times. We ignore it for the most part, but why do you think an 8-year-old would be acting this way? Because he feels he's in charge. He doesn't have a leader. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't look up to you. That's why he does it. So work on yourself. Remember, it's never the kid. He's a product of your parenting. That says to me that you're not a leader and he's taken charge because he doesn't respect you. It's simple as that. Work on your leadership skills, which is all I teach here, and that would never happen, ever. Yeah, just wouldn't. They would be, because they look up to you and then you make them feel good about themselves. So yeah, they would, and they don't feel good about themselves when they're talking to parents that way. So you're not doing anything for him either. That's all I teach here. I teach leadership. You give respect to get it. You are accountable too. My kids loved it when I messed up. I was always the one messing up. I was always the one in trouble. Like I'd forget, I'd promise to do something and I'd forget. Yeah, I said I'll make muffins tonight. I promise. Okay. Well, Mom, you said you were going to make them last night and you didn't. Okay, get off my back. I promise I'll make muffins tonight. And then they'd shut up. They'd look at each other like that, and they wouldn't say another word because they knew me. So the next morning they'd get up and they would go in the kitchen together, 8 and 3 years old, let's say. My son was the older one. They'd come in the kitchen, and I knew right away I was in trouble. And they'd say, Mom, remember last night you promised to make muffins? I don't see no muffins. I'm like, drats. What do you want? Well, we talked about it. We'd love to go to the water slide park after school today. So I was always in trouble. I make amends. We had a blast, actually. It was fun. Yeah, I knew when they came in, and my daughter would be beside her brother like this. Like he was the voice. But yeah, I was accountable. And they knew it. Believe me, they knew it. But they were never rude. It was funny, right? I don't see no muffins. I had so much fun parenting. It was the most fun I ever had. Laughing every single day. I remember school moms used to say, there was this cartoon out at the time. I don't know what it was called. I can't remember. And they said, you look just like that. They said, every time we see your blue RAV4 driving down the road, this is you and your kids. Like laughing like that. We were always laughing. It was fun. I got all that pesky leadership stuff all sorted out when they were 3. And then I just got to relax and enjoy. Anyone can learn this. Timeout for toddlers. Yeah, I just talked about that. I hate timeout. Can't stand it. Do these techniques work for kids with issues such as diagnosed sensory issues? I don't know, because they're also diagnosed sensory issues is a very vague term. I don't know what they are, but they might work, they might not. I don't know. It depends on what their sensory issues are. So yeah, it's just too vague of a term. But yeah, you know what though? Parents who have kids with special needs will often follow me or buy my courses, and they say a lot of it still works, and it's a good guideline for how to set yourself up as a leader. Whether or not your kids have special needs or not, it's focused on you and your leadership, which is really based more on connecting and playing with your kids. Their love language is fun. You may think it's being guided along and passing your wisdom on to them. They don't really give a crap about that. Their love language is fun. They want to have fun with you. And when you connect with your kids and have fun with them, that's where all the power is, when you get good at it. Yeah. Okay, I love your instruction to make amends. Yeah, with the muffins and stuff like that. I always say there's 4 steps to a good apology. This isn't necessarily how I run the company. Like, I don't talk about this a lot, but even as an adult, there's 4 steps to a good apology. And it's sort of based on how I teach, how I treat children too. This is the 4 steps to an apology. Start with, I'm sorry. I don't really care about those little words. People overuse those 2 words. I said I was sorry. Yeah, but you just killed my whole family. But I said I was sorry. It's so overused now. This word, 2 words, I'm sorry, gets everyone out of trouble. Like it doesn't mean anything. You can murder a whole family. I said I was sorry. It's so overused. Anyway, I have a real pet peeve about that, because the other 3 steps are the important ones. So say you're sorry. Second step is take full responsibility. It was all my fault. Don't say, I'm sorry I yelled at you and hit you. But if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had to have done that. You see? It's passive aggressive, blaming the other person. The third step, make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? If they don't come up with something, you come up with it. Say, how about I do that? The 4th step is don't keep doing it. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that apology meant squat. So yeah, a good example of this would be, I'm always early, but if I was ever late, I would say, oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I should have thought ahead about traffic. How about I buy dessert tonight? And then don't be late again. So yeah, like if I'm ever late, if I was ever 1 minute late for a session with a client, they get a free session out of me. Yeah. So it's be accountable. How can you expect your kids to be if you're not? Doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. I'll tell you a funny story. I used to mentor troubled teens. And I said, if I'm ever late, I'm going to buy you lunch, right? So anyways, one day I was stopped by the principal to talk. He wanted to talk about some kid or something. And I had to get to this class to meet this other kid. He's standing in the classroom and he knew that I wasn't allowed to be late. So he's watching me and I could see him like this, looking at his watch like this. And he's just smiling at me because he knows I'm going to be late, right? But the principal held me up. But that's no excuse, right? I don't use excuses because he knew me. He knew he was going to get lunch out of me. Anyway, it was stinking hot. This is in Australia. I was wearing a skirt, and it was like sweaty hot, agony hot. And so he's looking at me, and I'm principal. Yeah, okay. I couldn't get rid of this principal fast enough. Finally, we finished. Now I looked at my watch, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to make it to that classroom. And there's no running allowed on school grounds. But I was going to make it to that classroom. I took off like a bullet. My skirt was flying behind me. All the classrooms, teachers were looking at me like, what the heck? I'm just like a bullet, and I made it. I got there. He was so disappointed. I think I bought him lunch anyway. It was funny. But I made it on time. Now, why would I do that? Why would I do that to that kid, that teenager? It's respect, and it's fun. It's just fun. Like have fun with kids. A lot of parents forget that. They think that being a leader, you need to be serious. When you're disciplining, handing out discipline, you're calm, you're serious, but the rest of the time, be fun. So I made a complete fool out of myself. I did it for him. That's respect. Can you explain the difference? Oh, I've been asked this before. It's a very quick answer. Can you explain the difference between the pool story and timeout? Timeout is when they go in a corner alone. He was with me, and I'm bonding and connecting. How can you compare that to timeout? And I never discussed what he did wrong. I dealt with it. Completely different. Timeout is they go off somewhere all by themselves. And they're supposed to think about what they did wrong. Talk about nasty mean, eh? It's mean. Being a leader is the whole point. Absolutely. It's interesting. I'm at my best when I'm working with kids because I'm very vulnerable. I'm very goofy. So my basic personality is extremely goofy and silly. And but I'm not as good. I'm with my inner circle adults. Yeah, I'm okay. But other people would never guess that. But when I'm with kids, they always get the best of me because I just trust kids more than I trust adults. I trust them to say what they're thinking. I trust them to be honest. And I like that. So I'm always at my best when I'm with kids. I think I have a soft spot for them too. Okay, oops. Ooh, I'm running late. I got to go over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. If not, check out BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and also you can look into our podcast. The podcast is called BratBusters Parenting. My daughter and I work together, and we do the podcast together. So happy parenting, and I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube the whole time, and I'm hopping over to TikTok now. Bye now. Whoops. They always start with ads here now. This one's funny. This is on YouTube. 5-year-old will only use blue cups. If I give another color, they'll throw a fit. Boy, are they in charge. I need to, there's more to that. It's not about the cup. Okay. You might want to check out the course, 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course. Just check it out. If not, just get the free behavior board. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. That is total control. Control. Yeah, you got to work on your leadership skills there. Okay, welcome to the live. This is on TikTok. It's almost 8 o'clock. My gosh, I got so much work to do too. So that's why I got to finish this up. I'm not good at nighttime, so I'm on a real tight schedule here when I can stay awake and lucid. So yeah, okay, let's go. Okay. On TikTok, after that scare when the U.S. was going to leave, I'm diversified. It would have been okay with me, but a huge portion of, and I'm Canadian, by the way, but my biggest platform is TikTok. We would have been fine through if it ended in the United States, but I would have missed all my American friends on here. But yeah, after that, I think the week after that scare, when that happened, we gained like 30,000 followers on TikTok's interesting. It'll happen like that. I'll get tons of new followers and then it'll just go like that for weeks or months. It's really weird. And then you get a whole jump. Yeah. It's the only platform that does that. The rest are more consistent. I don't know what happened there. We can't figure it out. And I have a real soft spot for TikTok because that's 2 years ago. I came on here. I was just standing in my bathroom talking to myself in a mirror and talking about parenting. And I blew up overnight, basically, on TikTok. But yeah, I was just absolutely stunned. I never saw that coming. Every single day, it was like, oh my God. It was like, I think I gained 500,000 followers or 500 or 600,000 followers in 6 months. Just like that. Bizarre. So yeah, I have a real soft spot for TikTok because of that. So I'm very glad that it did not leave the United States. Yeah, I don't know which podcast is coming out tomorrow because I don't do that. My daughter does it all. But there was one where I came out looking like a fool. And I told her not to edit it out. I don't know if she did. She's in charge of all that. I said, don't take this out. Leave it in. I look like an absolute idiot. And total doofus. So I hope she let that in. It might already be out. You'll know if it's been out. I don't know if it's out yet. But I don't know. But yeah, it's funny. Okay, this is from, sorry, I should introduce myself first, and then I want to address this one. It's on YouTube. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. If you check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. My daughter works with me, and we do the podcast together twice a week. So this is from Joanna on YouTube. In the morning, I turn the light on for my girl. She's 3. She says my name, and right off the bat, she starts whining and crying. It's super, super overwhelming first thing in the morning. What can I do? I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. Are you waking her up or she's already awake? Maybe not turn the light on, maybe have a night light and then say, we're going to read a book. So you say, so maybe start slower. I don't know what's going on there. I have no idea. Then what's she like for the rest of the day? But maybe just try and start the day a little bit differently. Have a different routine. Maybe try that. I don't know what's going on. By the way, 3 is the fork in the road. 3 is when, if you're a leader, they at 3 years old, it's almost like they stop and think, wait a minute, you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to get really difficult. They take over. Or they go, well, you know what you're doing. I think I'll just relax and enjoy. So it's the fork in the road. They either get really easy or really difficult, or they're just, like that. Not all kids are going to be challenging, by the way. But yeah, if they are that way inclined, 3 is when it happens. They go, ooh, I'm going to get really easy because you know what you're doing. They just relax because you know what you're doing. If you don't, they often take charge. So maybe that's what she's doing. She's taking charge. I don't know. Can my 3-year-old possibly be too young? I feel like he doesn't get it. Oh, they learn as you go. So the behavior board, just keep it real simple, but they learn as you go along. Don't worry about over-explaining it. They will learn as you go. Just keep it simple and always go to the board. Put pictures, stickers on there. Draw pictures, like no hitting, and you put down a picture of someone hitting and put a big X through it, like no hitting. So they will learn as you go. Like older kids will often say, I forgot. Well, I didn't understand. Then I say to them, not at 3 so much, but as they get older, I say, well, you know, next time, won't you? You'll learn. So yeah, they do. Is timeout appropriate for a 2-year-old? That's the 3rd time I've been asked that tonight. There must be new people because anyone who's watched me for any amount of time knows how much I hate timeout. I can't stand it. Get rid of it. Check out my behavior board. It's completely free. It'll tell you what else to do. Just in a big picture way, but then I'm dealing with specific questions here. And sorry, I don't do lives as much as I used to. I'll be honest. I just don't have the time. I'm really busy these days. Did I just wink? It was accidental. I just don't have time. Didn't mean to. Do you ever wink inappropriately? Oh, hi, how are you? I used to have a real habit of winking at my kids. And when they were teenagers, they both said, can you stop winking at us out in public? But I said, that's how I say I love you when we're out in public. And they said, yeah, but Mom, it's just creepy. So yeah, I'm not allowed to wink anymore. Evidently, I'm creepy. That's my little secret. I love you. Yeah, it's just creepy, Mom. We know you love us. Just stop with the winking. How should I deal with that you're not invited to my birthday party with a large group of threes? I don't know who's saying that. You know, so a 3-year-old says that to someone else. He's saying that to someone else. Okay. I don't know all the circumstances, but it generally, usually when I'm working with a client, I know more information around that. So if that's kind of bullying, being really mean to someone else, I would take their favorite toy and give it to that kid for the weekend. Oh, you were mean to that little boy. So we're going to take your PlayStation or whatever, and we're going to let him play with it over the weekend. Boy, they learn real fast not to be mean. I do not put up with bullying like that. You gave me advice for my teen daughter months ago, and it worked like a charm. Thank you. Geez, what was it? What worked? Was it I don't know. What would have worked? Teenagers are my favorite age, by the way. They're kind of my specialty. I'm going to read out my 5 top tips for parenting teenagers, just in case someone else out there has a teenager. They're my favorite age, but most people turn up in the lives. It's toddlers stuff. But yeah, if you have older kids, that's what I do. In coaching, it's mostly older kids and teenagers. Okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible with a teenager. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Let's start the negotiations. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off. It's okay to not be perfect. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So when do you discuss the bad times? Never. If you can come up with a situation where you think the bad times should be discussed, let me know. Good luck with that. Number 5, you can be a right fighter with a teenager, or you can be happy. You can't be both. You can be a right fighter, or you can be happy. That's pretty much any relationship. Okay. So I'm so happy. That's why I do these lives too. A lot of people say that I'm helping just by doing these lives. Otherwise I wouldn't do them. But yeah, so most people are never going to hire me for coaching. And that's where all the more in-depth stuff happens. But that's why I do these lives. They're all free. Anyone can get this information. And I really want to make a difference out there. I want to empower parents to have more fun with their kids by making sure they're not acting out. So that's just if we set you up as a leader, your kids don't act out. Why would they? They'd be embarrassed because they look up to you. They don't want to disappoint you. And they don't want to disappoint themselves either. They have high self-esteem. Children who have a leader as a parent have high self-esteem. I worked with teenagers, and one of them said to me, I didn't like myself until I met you, Lisa. I thought, wow, that's what this is all about. You want them your goal is not that they like you. That's a byproduct. Your goal is that they like themselves when they're with you. When you really like yourself, you tend to be nice and do the right thing. It's just the way it is. Someone said, do you have a book? No, I don't. We were going to, we've been approached by a lot of publishing houses and that, but it takes a lot of time. And so we were going to make 2025 was going to be our book year. What happened is the podcast is taking off like crazy. So I don't know if we can continue doing that. We might even do 3 a week. I mean, it's just taken off. So I don't know we don't have time to do a book, basically. It takes a lot of time. I'd like to do one, but we'll see. Tell us more about leading. A leader brings out the best in people. Have you ever had a coach or a mentor or a teacher, someone that you looked up to? How do you treat that person? Don't you want that person to say, wow, that was great? It's important to you to get that from that person. That's a leader. That's what I teach you. I teach you how to get kids that look at you that way as their leader. But leaders are accountable. And you want them to want to please you when they're kids. And when they're teenagers, they just don't want to disappoint you. But it's mutual. I didn't want to disappoint my kids either. or my teenagers. It's mutual. How do you praise children? You don't. What's the point? Praise is okay. You can throw it in, but that's not what makes them feel good. Look at it this way. It's okay, but that's not what makes them feel good about themselves. Praise is overrated. Look at it this way. Let's say you got a 5-year-old little boy and you say to that little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, you're so perfect, you're so fantastic, you can do whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to go do the dishes now. You look at his face. Now you say to that same little boy, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Look at his face. What makes him feel better, the praise or play? His love language is play and fun, not praise. What makes him feel better about himself? Think about that. His love language is not praise. You think you think it is, but it's not. You might think it is, but it's not. Like when I was working with kids, what age does love language change? It's still time and enjoyment with people. It never changes. It's still time. And if you're enjoying someone's company, that's praise. That is what they love. Like when I was working with kids, and it's funny because it came up not very often, but I can't remember the situation, but it came up once. Someone said, well, how do you make kids feel so good about themselves when they're with you? What do you tell them? What do you tell them that makes them feel good about themselves? And I said, well, I don't. I just enjoy them. And that's what makes them feel good. I'd be more inclined to say to a kid, do you want to? I said, oh, wait, yeah, today was okay. You're a bit of a pain in the butt, but it was okay. And they'd laugh. You see, like it was funny. It was fun. They knew, and they can tell when you like them. I like kids. I have fun with them. I like teenagers. I enjoyed working with them. I was going to say I had fun with them. That sounds kind of creepy, but I just like kids and teenagers, and that's what makes them feel good. I remember a teenager once said to me, I can't believe someone like you likes someone like me. An interesting thing to say. He looked up to me and he couldn't believe I liked him. It's you liking and enjoying their company is their love language. There's nothing that makes you feel better than when someone enjoys being with you. That is way better than praise. Praise is so overrated. I hate compliments. Oh, aren't you pretty? Yeah, whatever. Laugh at my joke. I'd rather that. Praise is overrated. It's for the insecure, and it's not the real stuff. Okay, does that make sense? Oh God, I hate this kind of person. Smarmy, slimy. Oh, you should meet this guy, Lisa. He's so charming. Ugh. I hate charm. I hate it. Oh, aren't you beautiful? Oh, you're so beautiful, Lisa. Oh, puke. I hate stuff like that. I hate it. It's so phony. Kids pick up on that crap. It's cheap. It's smarmy. It's slimy. Not with kids so much, but it's still got the same taste. Oh, you're such a good little boy. Ugh. Ugh. It's not their love language. I thought I was the only one. Are you a Trump supporter? I love looking at your American politics. They are so much fun. They're so entertaining. I don't know enough about anybody. I'm not a supporter of anything. I'm a supporter of let's all get along, okay? But yeah, I think that anyone who improves the way of life of the majority is wonderful. So whoever that is, I don't care. And I'm funny because I don't have a lot of opinions. I don't tend to have opinions on things I don't know a lot about. I need to really delve into something to have a strong opinion on something because I think it's ignorant to have a strong opinion without having an open mind and really educating yourself on something. It's just ignorant. So yeah. You're not answering many questions and concerns. That's right. Sometimes I don't. When you run your lives, you can do it however you want. Okay, is there a parenting book you'd recommend that correlates with what you teach? I invented all my stuff, so no. And I don't know, I've never read a book on parenting or kids or anything, because everything I've learned has been from kids. I'm kid taught. So yeah, I don't know anybody else out there teaching anything. I stay out of that. I'm very careful. I've been invited to some pretty big shows, and and with other parenting coaches or parenting experts, and we discuss our different things. Why would I waste my time doing that? I'm here to help you, not to sell my ideas. Yeah. Okay. And by the way, with praise, it's okay, but it's not the meat and potatoes. It's okay, but kids aren't really listening to it. Really insecure, kids with very low self-esteem, it'll be important to them because they don't have they'll grab at anything. If a kid gets really excited by being told they're pretty or something, you want to work on their self-esteem. Helping is answering questions, is it not? You can be as snotty as you want. Go ahead. I'm going to run this how I want. Okay. One thing I wanted to read out too is I keep reading my 5 tips for parenting teenagers. I'm going to read out my 5 tips for parenting toddlers, because most of the parents who turn up to these lives have toddlers, and I haven't read that out tonight. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Toddlers are 16 to 35 months the way I view them. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. They're not about going to the hair salon. They want to go to the park and roll down the hill. Okay, number 4 is you discipline toddlers in their world. Their world is not words. Their world is actions. So you use consistent corrective actions with toddlers, not words. These mini therapy sessions are crap. Discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. It's not them. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. I was just at my son's today visiting my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, and my son's at work. And my granddaughter's 1, she's mobile now, but she's not precocious at all. She doesn't get into stuff. And there's stuff everywhere. She just doesn't. Wow. That's very unusual. She's got her own little area that she likes to play in, but she doesn't go and grab at stuff somewhere else. Like, wow. I was like, really? No. No, I think you have awesome ideas, but people are asking tons of questions. Why call someone snotty? Because it's very snotty when you're criticizing someone for not running something the way that they want you to. And I've been answering questions now for over an hour. And it's okay if I go off on my tangents, and sometimes I do because I want to get my points across. So my whole philosophy is based on connecting and bonding with kids. And if I just am answering questions about discipline, people tend to think that that's what this is all about. If I'm letting the questions lead the live, then everyone thinks that it's about discipline. I'm not about discipline. I'm about connecting with kids more than anything else. So that's why I need to stay very focused on that. That's why, because it's my message that I have to pass along. Okay, that's why. And love or hate me, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's going to have their own opinion. So I'm fine with that. Okay. Oh, now everyone's just talking about that. Okay, so let me go on to something else here. Okay, this is the same person. You said that your little girl wakes up and she's crying. You've tried everything. I don't know what's going on with her. I have to figure that out. What kind of parent are you? Are you the pleaser parent? You're trying to appease her and please her and try to, or do you just kind of take charge and say, come on, we're going to go read a book now. Come on, let's go, breakfast time, and let her scream and whine and get it out of her system. And you're just getting on with making breakfast. That's my gut reaction, is she's kind of leading you. She takes charge right from the second she wakes up. and you're getting stressed out over it. That's my gut reaction to that. So just say, okay, I'm going to go make breakfast now. Come on in when you're ready, and let her whine and cry. Get it out of her system. That is sort of my gut reaction with that. Okay, you're being a leader even on your live. I have to keep my message very prominent because it really is more about connecting with kids. When I was working with kids, I learned all this when I was working with kids and teenagers, and I had no leverage with them. None. I can't discipline someone else's kid in the back of a classroom that I'm mentoring them. I can't. What have I got? Nothing. But if I'm really connected to that kid, if they did something I didn't like, if little kids, I would say this, I'll tell you what, you did that. So I'm just going to get quiet for 30 seconds. Sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean it. 30 seconds. That's all I had. I'd take away fun Lisa. My disapproval was the discipline, because when you're a leader, they want to please you. It's a natural instinct to want to please a leader. So I was fun. I was connecting, getting close to them. And then if they did something that was naughty, that's what shouldn't have done that. So I'm just going to get quiet for 30 seconds. Sorry, Lisa. Sorry, I didn't mean. It's okay. It's 20 more seconds. So I'd kind of even use humor when I was disciplining them. But they got it, right? You get what you put out with me. Like if you're nice to me, I'm fun, I'm great. But if you do something naughty, I just get kind of quiet. You see? They lose fun Lisa. That's all the leverage I had when I was working with kids. Teenagers is a little bit different. It's similar, but I won't get into that because it's a method I only used when I was working with kids. So working with teenagers, it doesn't work in a home environment because they wouldn't give a crap in a home environment. It's different. It was similar, but it's not what I would teach parents to do with their own teenagers. Okay, how do you make sure a 3-year-old is the least affected by divorce? Okay, we divorced. My kids were 9 and 14, and it went really smoothly because we never argued. We always got along. We were always on the same parenting page. We always supported one another. So that's why they really don't care if you're together. They only care that you get along. That's the bottom line. Get along. But the one thing, it does shake their world up a bit because, we didn't have to leave our home or anything, but that, sometimes you do. So they have to move. So it's all the changes, but the number one thing is get along. That's the number one thing. Get along for the sake of your children. You chose to have kids with that person. You're stuck with them for the rest of your life. Okay? That's just the way it is. Make the most out of it for your kids' sake. You're going to have grandkids with that person. So yeah, make the most of it. That would be my best advice. Years and years ago, I taught a course. It was a seminar, and it was called Parenting Through Divorce. I never did it again. What happened was I said, I want you to turn up to this, it was an in-person seminar. I said, I want you to turn up with your ex, meet in the parking lot, walk in together and sit together. Don't bring any girlfriends or boyfriends or new husbands or wives, nothing, just the biological parents. Turn up. They were fighting in the parking lot, fighting down the hall, fighting when they sat next to each other, if they even did. And here was me at the front of the class like this. I'm disgusted with you people. I'm so disgusted. I said, do you act like that in front of your kids? It's disgusting. Oh, I was so mad. I never taught it again. And they were all like this. They were all embarrassed. I said, that's horrible. So anyway, a lot of them ended up hiring me after that, like for coaching. And, but yeah, I didn't hold back. I let them have it. Get along for your kids' sake. Love your kids more than you hate each other. When you're fighting with your ex, it's about you. It's not about your kids. And I've worked with some people who have some pretty nasty exes that have done some pretty nasty things. And they still manage to learn how to take the high road. Don't fight with that person. It's the worst thing you can do for your kids. And remember, they're still a reflection of that person. Like that person is still part of who they are. So if you insult that other person, you're actually insulting your kids. It will reflect them. No one's perfect, but think about that. Okay, this one's a good one. It's an easy one. That's why it's a good one. My 5-year-old makes up stories about school a lot. Sometimes I don't believe him and he's lying. Just put down on the behavior board, no lying. And then if you know he's lying, if he makes up stories about school, say, is that the truth? If not, I'm going to check with the teacher. Or I'm going to check with another parent, and then put down no lying. Just call him on it, and he'll eventually learn how to stop doing it. I'm going to tell you a funny story about myself. It was grade 3, and you know how you have show and tell? Grade 2, maybe. Anyway, you know how you have show and tell, and you stand up and you talk about something. It was so, you take turns doing it. So maybe 2 or 3 people every day or something. So we had show and tell, and so embarrassing. Anyway, my name is Lisa Marie, and Elvis Presley had just had a daughter. And her name was Lisa Marie. And so what I said, and I'm adopted. So what I said is I got up. Now, I thought it was supposed to be something entertaining. I didn't realize you're supposed to be telling the truth. So I got up. My show and tell, it could be a story. My show and tell was that Elvis Presley, I was his firstborn, but he lost me somehow. He couldn't find me, so I was adopted out. And I love being adopted, by the way. So, because anything could be in your past, right? I always made it something romantic. Turns out I found out years later it was nothing like that. But anyway, so he was my birth father, and he missed me so much that when he had another daughter, he named her Lisa Marie too. Yeah, and all the kids believed it. And the teacher was standing at the front of the class like this. How embarrassing. So was that a lie, or was I just good at telling stories? And all the kids believed it. I couldn't believe they believed it, though. I was kind of shocked at that. I had a couple of good ones. That was one of my best. Okay, so was I lying, or was I just a good storyteller? You decide. Okay, how do I make school mornings less stressful? My 7-year-old daughter can get mean, nasty, and defiant. School morning routines are a real big thing in my business. So we write down, follow school morning routine is one way to do it. And if she doesn't follow the school morning routine, there's a consequence after school. Okay, put it on the behavior board. That's one way. That's not my preferred method. I like to use incentive-based program with school morning routine. So what I say, and I'll tell you what I used to do with my kids. My son was in grade 1 and just starting. And I said, okay, here's your school morning routine. I wrote it all out. You have to get in your uniform. You have to have breakfast. You have to get your bag packed by the front door. And then I said, when you're all ready and all that's been done, brush your teeth, all that stuff. When all that's done, I just hit 15,000 steps just sitting here. Do that. Anyway, when all that's done, then you can play with your computer games, right? So, but I didn't there's a little bit of a caveat there. I didn't explain it completely. So the first morning of school, it was like 4 a.m. and I wake up and I hear this beep, 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 beep. And I look down the hallway and the computer room's all lit up. It's like 4 a.m. So I walked down and I said, my son's sitting there in his uniform. His bag is packed by the front door. He's eaten breakfast. He's put his dishes in the dishwasher, whatever. He's done everything he's supposed to do. And he says, Mommy, I've done everything. Now I'm playing computer games. I didn't tell him you get 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like, it was hilarious. He just worked the system. It wasn't naughty. He worked the system. So then it was so cute though. Anyway, so then the next morning he realized you only get like 10 minutes right before school. So I use it as incentive based, and it goes something like this. Let's say you have to leave the house at 8. So you say, if you're all finished and ready and all packed up by 7:45, you can get 10 minutes on the iPad or something. Okay. But then they get 5 minutes where they have to get off it, or the next morning they only get 5 minutes on the iPad. So it's an incentive based one. You can try that. That's my preferred method. Most parents say it works really well if they really like computers or, PlayStation, whatever. But also I say, and don't start a game that you can't finish within those 10 minutes. That's your responsibility. So sometimes I say, but I'm just right in the middle of a game. Well, that's too bad. It's still 10 minutes and it goes off. From Austria. Hello, Tina from Austria. What time is it? Oh God, I've been on here for an hour and a half now. I got to get going because I still got a lot of work to do. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I work together and we do the podcast together. It's called BratBusters Parenting. It's going great guns. Thanks to you. And just tell us what you want us to talk about on that podcast because it's all for you. So anyway, happy parenting. Good night.